How many tabs do you have open right now, just in your mind? The brilliant quote from an article you swore you'd remember? The half-formed idea from a shower that vanished by breakfast? The crucial point from last week's podcast? The name of that book your colleague recommended? The actionable step from your financial plan? They're all in there, somewhere, floating in a cognitive soup, competing for attention, draining your focus with the silent background anxiety of potentially being forgotten. This isn't a personal failing, it's a biological ceiling. Your brain's brilliant, but it was designed for survival on the savannah, not for managing the information fire hose of the 21st century. You are trying to do knowledge work with a Stone Age operating system, and the constant cognitive strain is the price. Welcome back to the Student of Life podcast. I'm your host, Olivia Vasilev. This season, we've been building our outer toolkit. We've learned to read for deep understanding, to ask for what we need, to engineer meaningful conversations, and to build financial security. But these powerful skills generate a torrent of new information, commitments, and ideas. Without a system to capture and connect it all, that torrent becomes a flood that drowns your potential. Today, we're building the single most important piece of cognitive infrastructure you will ever own. We're moving beyond sticky notes, forgotten notebooks, and buried bookmarks. We are going to build a second brain, a trusted external system to organize your insight and expand your mind. To understand why you need a second brain, you must first understand the severe, beautiful limitations of your first one. Let's start with working memory. This is your brain's whiteboard, its conscious processing space, and it's astonishingly small. The classic research by cognitive psychologist George Minner established its capacity at the magical number 7 plus or minus 2 discrete chunks of information. More recent studies suggest it might be as low as 3 to 4. This is why you can hold a phone number in your head while you dial it, but you lose your train of thought when someone interrupts you. Your working memory is a bottleneck. Every unfinished thought, every to-do, every must-remember consumes one of these precious slots, leaving less capacity for actual thinking, creativity, or problem-solving. This is the neuroscience of feeling scattered. Then we have long-term memory storage. When you learn something new, like a concept from a book or an insight from a conversation, it forms a fragile neural connection in your hippocampus. For that memory to become permanent, it must be consolidated and transferred to the neocortex. This process is called synaptic consolidation, and it is incredibly vulnerable. It requires repetition, sleep, and crucially, a lack of interference. This is described by Ebbinghaus's forgetting curve, which shows we forget roughly 50% of new information within an hour and 70% within a day, unless we actively reinforce it. But here's the modern catastrophe. We live in a state of constant interference. A new email, a Slack message, a news alert. Each one disrupts this delicate consolidation process. You're not just forgetting, you are actively preventing your brain from forming lasting memories. You are trading deep knowledge for shallow awareness. This leads to cognitive load theory. Your brain has a finite amount of cognitive resources. When those resources are exhausted by simply managing information, trying to remember where you saved a file or what you were supposed to do, you have nothing left for the higher order thinking you actually need: analysis, synthesis, and creation. This is why you can feel mentally exhausted after a day of just managing emails and messages, even though you produced nothing tangible. Your biological brain is a magnificent processor, but a terrible hard drive. Its genius is in making connections and having insights, not in storing raw data reliably. So we must liberate it. We must offload the job of storage and organization to an external system, a second brain, so that our biological brain can be freed up to do what it does best: think, create, and understand. So, how do we build the system? Not as a digital junk drawer, but as an organized extension of your mind. We use a 4-stage neurological workflow called the C.O.D.E method. Capture, organize, distill, express. This isn't just about filing notes. It's about replicating and enhancing your brain's own learning cycle externally. Stage 1, the capture, the external hippocampus. This is about getting ideas out of your fragile biological memory and into a trusted external system. The goal is to reduce cognitive load immediately. The rule is simple. Capture anything that resonates. Not everything you see, but anything that pings your brain. A surprising statistic, a useful framework, a personal insight, a beautiful quote. Neuroscientifically, you are performing an interpretation of the default mode network. You're catching a spontaneous thought, often rich with associative potential, before it fades. Use whatever tool is fastest. A notes app on your phone, a voice memo, a pocket notebook. The key is minimal friction. You are building a capture habit that says to your brain, you don't have to hold on to this, it is safe, you can let it go. Stage 2, organize, the external neocortex. Raw captures are like unconsolidated memories in your hippocampus, disorganized and easily lost. Organization is the process of moving them into a long-term structured storage system where they can form connections. The most neuro-friendly organizing principle is not by topic, but by project or area of active engagement. Create folders or tags for things like podcast script, season 3, home renovation plan, leadership skills, financial system. And why? Because this mirrors how your brain retrieves information contextually. You rarely think, I need something about psychology. You think, I'm writing a podcast about motivation. What did I read about dopamine? Organizing by active projects makes your knowledge actionable the moment you need it. Stage 3, distill, the synthesis of insight. This is the most critical brain-enhancing step. Distilling is the process of reducing a note down to its essential core insight in your own words. Here we use a technique called progressive summarization. When you first capture something, you save the full article or note. In a first review, you bold the most important sentences. In a later review, you highlight the most important phrases within those bolded sentences. Finally, you might write one sentence summary at the top in your own words. This isn't busy work. This is elaborative rehearsal, a cognitive process proven to dramatically enhance memory encoding. By actively wrestling with the material and extracting its essence, you are forcing a deep level of processing that builds stronger, more retrievable neural pathways in your own brain. You're not just storing information, you're transforming it into personal knowledge. And stage 4, express, the creation of new value. This is the entire purpose. Your second brain isn't a museum, it's a workshop. The express stage is where you combine and recombine your distilled ideas from different domains to create something new. A report, a presentation, a business plan, a podcast script. This stage leverages your brain's innate genius for associative thinking. When your notes are distilled and organized by project, you can see unexpected connections. That neuroscience principle from a textbook might connect to a leadership problem from a meeting, which might connect to a personal story you captured. Your second brain becomes a catalyst for the default mode network to do its best work, creative synthesis. You're not just starting with a blank page, you are starting with a rich repository of your own best thinking, ready to be assembled. The system matters more than the software. The C.O.D.E method is a neurological operating system. You can run it on different hardware. Your tools generally fall into 2 categories. Digital gardens like Obsidian, Rome Research, or Tanner. These are apps that specialize in creating bi-directional links between notes, mimicking the associative network nature of your brain itself. They are powerful for knowledge synthesis. The first is what I like to call digital gardens, like Obsidian, Rome Research, or Tanner. These are apps that specialize in creating bi-directional links between notes, mimicking the associative network nature of your brain itself. They are powerful for knowledge synthesis. The next tool is digital filing cabinets like Notion, Evernote, or OneNote. These excel at structured organization, databases, and templates. They are powerful for project management and accessible organization. My advice? Start simple. Use the Notes app already on your phone. The goal is not a perfect system from day one. The goal is to offload one thought today, capture one insight, distill one article. The neuroplasticity helps in the consistent practice, not in the perfect setup. Begin with a single current project. Open a new note. As you research, capture, then distill. See how it feels to have all your thinking in one place, instead of scattered across 15 browser tabs and free notebooks. That feeling of cognitive relief, of clarity, that is your amygdala calming down and your prefrontal cortex coming back online. Building a second brain isn't about becoming a productivity robot. It's about becoming a more complete human thinker. It is the practice of cognitive humility, acknowledging the limits of your biology, paired with cognitive ambition, and using tools to transcend those limits. It's where the insights from every episode of this season come to live, connect, and compound. Your reading notes, your conversation takeaways, your financial goals, they all go in here to be woven together into the unique fabric of your understanding and your work. Now that we have this foundational system for managing knowledge and action, we can focus on a specific high-intensity application of it. Next week, we're putting your second brain to its first major test. We're diving into the 30-day learning sprint, how to deconstruct any new skill from a language to a software and use principles of cognitive science and deliberate practice to make staggering, tangible progress in just 1 month. This is about focused creation powered by your new outer cortex. But this week, your mission is simple. Capture one thing, one idea that resonates. Get it out of your head and into a trusted place. You've just taken the first critical step to building your cognitive future. And remember, never stop learning. I'm your host, Olivia Vasilev, and this is the Student of Life podcast.